think there's a lot of people who they're like droning, right? I call it droning. They're just going through their day and they're kind of just going through the motions because that's what they think they're supposed to do. And the only time that they kind of get shaken with reality is a near-death experience, is something catastrophic, somebody gets hurt, something happens in their life that kind of shakes them and wakes them up. But you kind of look at this and you're like, man, there's a large portion of the population that are just droning. And so how do you think like
100%.
you can get those people out of kind of just doing what they've always done and they wake up, 40 years later and like, oh shit, where'd my life go?
Yeah, well, I'll share a quick story about, I didn't realize, I droned for a long time.
Oh, you're a droner.
I used to, not anymore, but I used to. And I remember I would wake up and I would be like, kind of tired. I didn't have the energy. I wasn't motivated. And I just felt like, oh, another day. And I would just go through the motions. And, it was like, oh, another day till closer to death. Another day closer to death. And
you would say that to yourself?
What the heck? Right. And it was a wake-up call going, what am I doing? Like, this is insane. Like, if this is life, something has to change. And then I'd go away for weekends. And then I'd get super sad when I'd have to come back on Sunday. And it was a wake-up call
Sunday
that
scaries.
Something had to change in my life.
Why were you sad on Sundays when you came back?
Because I didn't like the life I was living.
So it was like
I hated
escapism.
everything about it. Yeah.
The weekends were an escape, and then you had to come back to reality.
Yeah, it was like I was living for the future. I wasn't enjoying my life. I wasn't enjoying the days. I was waiting until somebody discovered me. I was waiting until I got rich. I was waiting for all these things instead of actually enjoying the moment, which is the present. And once I finally said, okay, this isn't going to work. I need to enjoy my life. I have so much to be grateful for. I'm getting rid of the fear. I'm going to work on my confidence. And that is where the magic started to happen. And now I'm excited. I love Sundays. I get football during the fall, and then I get to wake up, and I'm like, you know what? I like the weekdays better because I get closer to all my goals.
So one of my favorite questions to ask people is, if I gave you $100 million, what would you do in the weeks afterwards? Right? Like basically money is no longer a problem.
Yeah.
What would you do? What would you do with your life? And there's two answers that I find both equally fascinating. One, the people who are honest are like, I tried to get to 200 million. Right? They're like they understand human psychology of like, no matter how much you have, you always want something more.
Sure.
So like, I appreciate the self-awareness and just the brutal honesty. But what most people say is, I would do X. And X is like a dream, something that they don't think is possible, whatever. And I always ask them like, why don't you go do that today?
Yeah.
Or start doing that now? And it's fascinating how many people are like, I never thought of that. You're just like,
I know.
Again, I don't have any answers. Like, I'm not by no means any different than anybody else. I'm a human. I do dumb shit all the time. I drone. I do all this stuff. Not really drone, but like,
Yeah.
I'm a human like everyone else. But to not like just sit down and be like, what do I want to do? Seems like we are almost as a society selling ourselves short because there's no intentionality about our actions. We kind of are just droning along.
Well, no, and it's true. But I think also what happens with the droning is that people are so afraid and worried about what other people will think that they don't take the risk and they stay in that drone, because when they're droning and just going to their job, coming home, doing their errands, doing what they're supposed to be doing, nobody's really judging them or worrying about them. So I think it kind of comes down to that too.
Isn't cubicle life more of a risk than doing something else? Like my greatest fear,
100%.
My greatest fear in life is to have been, 25, 30 years old, go to work every day. Maybe now in most of the big corporations, you don't have to wear the tie, but you got to have, kind of dressed up with the button down on, everything.
Yeah.
And then just like go to sleep one night, wake up, you're 55, you got 3 kids, and you're like, yo, where'd it go? What happened? I don't remember.
And then you get laid off.
Well, just even like that's even taking it to the extreme. Like if you just literally work the same job for 30 years and then you wake up one day and you're like, holy shit, I just spent 30 years doing this, and like, what happened? That to me, again, people have all these, weird risks or scared of or fears, whatever.
Right.
That's mine. I would go fucking insane and then probably do crazy shit to like make up for it and like end up dying somehow, right? Like, but it just feels like that is actually the normal path that a lot of people take.
It's safety for them. It's an illusion though. It's their illusion of safety. But I think it's also because people are afraid to put themselves out there.
All right. So,
or they want a simple life.